This is a case about a lapse of judgment. Poor decisions that ultimately led to criminal action, the offense of driving under the influence of alcohol. As the judge indicated, my name is Elizabeth Earlywine. Along with John Jones, we represent the people of the state of Illinois. August 20th was just a beautiful, perfect summer day. And on this sunny summer day, the defendant, Daniel Mason, decided to get together with some friends, play some ball at the local park by the college. And that was when the first poor decision came. You see, while he was playing ball, he decided that it would be okay to drink some alcoholic beverages. But it didn't just stop with a couple of alcoholic beverages. He drank enough, you're going to hear, to raise his blood alcohol content above the legal limit to 0.115. The next poor decision came after the game, when the defendant got into his car, put the key in the ignition, and drove off. Fortunately, Officer Michael Malinowski was in the area, and he was at the intersection of Ambrose and Blackhawk, not far from the ball field, when he saw the defendant driving his Hyundai Elantra, and first noticed him when he rolled the stop sign. That's not all he saw. He saw further consequences of the defendant's lack of judgment. That was a very wide right turn that actually took the defendant into the oncoming lane of traffic. And from there, Officer Malinowski followed the defendant and saw him drift from one side of the lane to the other, actually crossing the lane lines. It was this time he'd seen enough to cause him concern, and he stopped him. The defendant pulled off into a parking lot and stopped at a kind of an odd angle. Officer Malinowski approached the defendant in the driver's side. He was the only occupant of the car, and immediately noticed a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage. And he was further concerned when the defendant just kind of stared off into space for a few seconds. Officer Malinowski had to actually ask him, "Are you okay?" Because he didn't respond to him. Based on these observations, Officer Malinowski then decided he was going to ask the defendant to get out of the car and perform what are called standardized field sobriety tests. Make sure that, number one, is he okay to drive? Or is this individual, the defendant, actually under the influence of alcohol, based on the odors, based on the driving, based on his unresponsiveness? You're going to hear about the field sobriety tests, which I'll summarize now. He did very poorly on them. There are three of them you're going to hear about: the horizontal gaze nystagmus test, the walk and turn test, and the one-leg stand test. And he was unable to perform any of these simple tasks successfully. Based on all of this evidence, Officer Malinowski placed the defendant under arrest for driving under the influence of alcohol, took him back to the local precinct police station, and had conducted a breath test. That breath test was performed by Trooper Joe Anderton, who you'll also hear from today, a breath test officer and technician, who will tell you that based on that instrument, the defendant was driving with a blood alcohol content of 0.115. So you're going to hear evidence of both impairment and of that illegal blood alcohol content. You'll hear evidence of the defendant's lack of judgment for yourself. And when we're done with the evidence and done with arguments, I'm going to come back and ask you to find the defendant guilty of that charge. Thank you.